I don't say thank you just for me, even though I'm just thrilled that you are, each and every one of you are here, because that helps me fulfill my desire and my passion, which is being here with all of you. But I would like to thank you for being here and deepening your spiritual growth, to deepen the understanding of the spirituality that's within each and every one of you. Because when you deepen that which is within you, your understanding of, you don't deepen the thing itself, but you deepen your understanding of it, you help the entire planet. You help everyone around you. You help this planet shift consciousness, raise vibration. So even beyond a thank you then for you, I say thank you for our worlds, because we have already began shifting into a whole new vibration. The whole planet, as most of you know, is in the middle of this human evolutionary jump in consciousness. And we're all a part of it, or else you wouldn't be here in this room. Because it's the consciousness. We're conscious of our divinity, the divine self within us. So today we're going to be talking about planting thought seeds. And thought seeds can hasten that jump in our evolutionary journey, or they can hasten it. They can hasten it. So we can prolong the chaos, or we can be in the flow. One or the other. It's our thinking, planting those seed thoughts. Before there was a great brilliance, there always was chaos, and that's from the I Ching. I mean, so that's ancient. It's always been known when shifts take place, and you know it within your own lives, that usually when a great shift takes place, there is what appears to be chaos that takes place, and then out of that comes the clarity. So your being here today states that you are part of that. You're part of that. So this whole month we're going to be exploring the seeds that we can plant now in preparation for our lives, but in preparation symbolically for the whole fall, for the fall harvest. Not the whole harvest. Okay, we can do that. But our focus for this month is to honor and celebrate summer as a time of renewal, as an opportunity to plant new seeds and allow them to water them with our belief, with our faith, allowing them to grow into our experiences of what we want to live, so that we can be rich and full and filled with this infinite love of God, which is limitless. So all things are limitless. Whatever you can dream, you can achieve it. You can. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. So today we're going to lay the groundwork for the whole month, because this whole month we're going to be talking about thoughts becoming things. So to ensure that we're on the same page and looking at seeds that we are planting, I think that it is important that we plant only the seeds that we really want to see harvested. Check in with what you're thinking. And usually your feelings are an indication of what you're thinking. If you're feeling in peace, if you're feeling in the flow, you're usually aligned. But check in with what you're thinking, because you're manifesting it. You're manifesting it. So I have an illustration. A man walks into a restaurant with an ostrich behind him. And he sits down, and the waitress comes over and asks for his order. I'll have a hamburger, fries, and a Coke. And he turns to the ostrich, and the ostrich says, I'll have the same thing. A short time later, the waitress returns with the order, and she says, this will be $12.40. And the man reaches into his pockets and pulls out the exact change. And then he leaves, but he comes back the next day, and along with him, of course, is the ostrich. And this time he has a grilled cheese, potato salad, and a Coke. And the ostrich has the same thing. The waitress comes back with the bill, $11.42, and the man reaches into his pocket and pulls out the exact change. So the next evening, the two enter again. And I will have a steak, a baked potato, and a salad. "Oh, and a Coke," says the man, "and same for me," says the ostrich. So says talking ostrich. A short time later, the waitress comes with the order and the bill. It's $41 now and 62 cents. And the man reaches into his pocket and again pulls out the exact change. The waitress can't hold back her curiosity any longer. "Excuse me, sir, but how do you manage to always come up with the exact change every time I bring you a bill?" And the man said, "Several years ago, I was cleaning out my attic, and there was this old, beautiful vase. And so I decided to clean it because it would look a lot better, so I started to rub it. And a genie appeared and offered me 2 wishes. And my first wish was that if I had to pay for anything, that I could just reach into my pocket and out would come the exact amount, whether it was a meal, or a Rolls Royce. Whatever it was, I would always have the exact amount of money." And she said, "Wow, that was really brilliant of you. Most people would have wished for $1 million right then and there." She said, "You can be as rich as you want for as long as you live." "That's right," he said. And then the waitress said, "One other thing, sir, what's with the ostrich?" And the man replies, "My second wish wasn't as well thought out as the first one. I wished for a chick with long legs, and it puts a whole new, get it? Puts a whole new meaning on when we say, be careful for what you wish for. Because the law is literate. It will give you back exactly what you put into it, yes? So we want to be specific and also know exactly what we want to feel and kind of what it looks like. We don't have to outline, but we need to know a little bit. So our intentions are so powerful. That's the whole point of that story. Our intentions are so powerful. So let's make sure that our intentions are pure and clear so that the law will respond perfectly to us. And I love these words from Dr. Ernest Holmes. "The gardener goes forth in faith to sow his seeds. He has learned that as he sows, so shall he reap, that the law works for all alike. The law works infallibly and impersonally all the time." And those are the 2 words that we're going to explore today in how we create with our thinking. Whatever seeds that are planted, that is what is grown. So what we are thinking is what we are creating. We're creating it because sometimes we think these things and then we wonder why this is taking place in our lives. And last week I did say that there's so many fine lines to our spirituality. There really is. So it's to take in what really resonates with you, but also that life is not always the way you think it should be, if you remember this, and it's not always the way you think it shouldn't be. Sometimes life just is the way life is. That's the way it is. No matter how incredibly well we do our spiritual work, stuff happens. Stuff happens in life, but we do have, however, that place of choice right when it happens. You don't have to go, what was I thinking that I created this? Don't do any of that. That's not good for you to do, because the ego will jump in and tell you exactly why you created it, and it won't feel good. It won't feel good. So that, I just wanted to put that out there also, but it still is key, because at that place of choice, that crux, where you can choose how you want to respond to any situation, that's where we're at choice. That's where we're planting the seeds. I want to respond in peace, in forgiveness, in I don't have to understand, just peace and forgiveness. Then that's the seeds. Those are the seeds that I am planted. So it doesn't make a difference what's going on. It then contributes to our experience, what we feel. So let me share with you some of humankind's great spiritual thinkers and what they've said about this concept. Henry David Thoreau. The universe constantly and obediently answers to our conceptions, what we can conceive. And this beautiful poem from Buddha that I think is beautifully poetic yet logical. And it's the explanation of the infallibility of the law. He writes, "The thought manifests as the word. The word manifests as the deed. The deed develops into habit. The habit hardens into character. So watch the thought and its ways with care, and let it spring forth from love, born out of concern for all beings. As the shadow follows the body, as we think, so we become. As we think, so we become." What seeds are you planting? Consciously and subconsciously. And remember, the only way to get to the subconscious is through the conscious mind. So what seeds are you planting continuously? Get to know. We live in these bodies, and most of the time we don't even know what we're thinking. We only know when we want something what we're thinking, but to know what we're thinking is creating. We're planting seeds. We're always planting seeds. In Proverbs chapter 23:7, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Paramahansa Yogananda, the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship, wrote, "As water, by cooling and condensation, becomes ice, so thought by condensation assumes physical form." Everything in the universe is thought in material form. That's what it is. Everything. God thought the thought, and so it was. The infinite creative genius of all that is, thought the thought, and so it was. There was nothing, because the law, remember, is not judging. It's non-judgmental. It's giving back what's put into it. And then, to quote Holmes again, "To learn how to think is to learn how to live, because our thoughts go into the medium which is infinite in its ability to do and to be." And then Jerry and Esther Hicks' work, Through Abraham, they rightly spoke this. There is no condition that you cannot modify into something more. Any more than there is any painting, then you can paint and not like it and paint over it. There are many limiting thoughts in the human environment that make it feel like it is not so. As you have these incurable illnesses or these unchangeable conditions, but we say they are only unchangeable because you believe they are. Because you believe they are. There are so many things in life that, and especially conditions, they are changeable. The spiritual truth is not. It's infallible, and it's constant, and it's perfect, and it's within each and every one of us. It's in each and every one of us. So just remember that. Oh, Tony Robbins. We have all these great thinkers. They're all saying the same thing. It's like coming at you in a different way. Maybe there's one that's going to resonate with you. Because it's so important for us to live these lives of happiness and fulfillment. But we create it. Remember that. No one else can create your life for you but you. You are the only one that's in charge, no matter what it looks like. It's a condition, it's changeable. But Tony Robbins says, the only thing that prevents you from having everything you want is your story and your reasons of why you can't have it. Does that sound familiar? Your story. It's a story. It's something we made up, but because we believe it, we're actually living it and creating it. Our seed thoughts, those thoughts that we think are the cause. Remember we talk about cause and effect. The harvest of our experience, then, is the effect. There are many effects. Money is an effect. There are many effects that we believe are the cause. We have it backwards because nobody really explained to us our thinking is first cause. First cause is God. God thought, and so it was. So, and we're the effects of God. So in our microcosmic world, our experiences are the effects of our thinking. What are you thinking? Do that mind check. We're planting the seeds because the law is infallible. It will give us back exactly what we think. It will give it back to us. So if you want to harvest apples, you better plant an apple seed. If you want to harvest tomatoes, plant a tomato seed. An oak tree, plant an acorn. You can't plant a seed and then expect something different to grow. It won't work because the law will respond with confusion. And if you've been living in confusion in your life for a long time, it's because you're thinking one thing, and for a moment, the affirmation workshop is going to be so great in clarifying all that, and then you're feeling and thinking the total opposite. So if you're thinking peace and love, but you're always in a state of unrest and hatred or anger, well then the Lord's going to give you back all kinds of stuff, but it's not going to be what you originally asked for because it's responding to our thinking. It's infallible. And if you want to harvest a world that works for everyone, where a world where there is no greed and hatred, where they no longer exist, a world where poverty and crime are things of the past, a world where all life is revered and honored. If we want to harvest that world, which I think we do, which we wouldn't be in this room, then today is the day to plant those seed thoughts of peace, of harmony, of love, and to consistently water them with our thinking and our faith and our trust. It's a big one, the trust. You know, we say God is our source, right? God is our source. We believe this until there's not enough money in the bank and we have to pay our bills. And then we go into total fear, which is okay. We're having a human experience, so that's okay. But the trust that God is our source is the thing that we are deepening. We're deepening the trust of these spiritual ideas that we speak of, that we study in the classes. That's what we're deepening. We can't deepen the spiritual truth. It already is, and it's perfect. There's nothing to deepen. We deepen our faith, our trust, our understanding of what this thing is that we keep talking about every week. There is a story about Dr. Ernest Holmes teaching a Sunday school class on Sunday. And he was teaching about the law and used the illustration of a hen sitting on her eggs. He told the children that it takes 21 days to hatch the chicks. That's the law, that's the way it works. Nature is perfect with law. It just doesn't err. It's always perfect. If you want to look in the natural world like Emerson did, that's where you'll see the perfection of the law. It exists there. And it's infallible, even though Holmes didn't use that word. So he's telling this to the children, and he says that if the hen obeyed the law and kept the fertile eggs warm, sat on them as it's supposed to, the chickens would hatch. He said you could see the law at work under the old chicken's feathers anytime you were so minded. And then he told the children something that I think is so incredibly powerful that I'm going to write down. I love this. He said, remember when you have a good idea, stay with it until it hatches. So powerful. Remember, when you have a really good idea, something you really want to manifest, something you really want to feel, whatever it is, stay with it until it hatches. Because many of us have this great idea, and then what do? Oh, it's not working, and we're off somewhere else. No, stay with it until it hatches. I love that. Stay with it until the infallible law brings it into beingness, and it will do so every single time. The only thing that stops it from instantaneously coming into manifestation is our beliefs. What's in our subconscious, what we're believing. Because the subconscious is just a bunch of beliefs and collective consciousness and all kinds of stuff in there, but it doesn't have power over us as long as we become aware. The awareness is key to any beginning of spiritual growth. Mary Morrissey, who we are studying her program in Prosperity Plus, she writes, sometimes the turn of the dial is quick. Sometimes it's not, but it is always sure. So that reminded me, the last Roots class that we did, we were studying Emerson, but Emerson actually, or somebody in the workbook talked about the law of the doorknob. Remember that? The law of the doorknob. I love this. This is from Emma Curtis Hopkins. So the law of the doorknob is you turn the doorknob and the door opens. Every time, yes? Mm-hmm. It opens. Now, if you try to pull it open, it won't work. Because it's the law of the doorknob. It can only work one way. You have to turn it, then pull it. You can't just pull it without turning it. So that's how things are in our lives. I love that law, the law of the doorknob. She was great. But that's how things are in our lives, you know? And so allowing the law to do its work. And that's why a lot of times we say be specific in what you want, but don't outline it for the law. Let the law fill in and color it and bring to you what you want, but it'll be so much better when we let go and we let God. So this is true for everyone, and that's the impersonal part of it. So that's the second part of the talk. We talked about infallibility. Now we talk about impersonal. The law of electricity is the perfect thing to use to illustrate that, because that light switch is going to work for every single human being that turns it on or off. That light switch, or the electricity itself, doesn't judge the person. It says, I'm not going on because this person's greedy and this person's evil. No, it works. It's just like the law. It works the same for everyone. Anyone can use the law of electricity. It's like mathematics. 2 plus 2 equals 4. No matter how you try to do it differently, it's the law. It's mathematical, it's exact, and it always gives what is put into it impersonally. There is no judgment. Everyone is using a law, whether you're conscious of it or not. We're all using that law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, all the immutable laws of the universe. So it really is important to know what seed thoughts you are planting now. And it also is really a whole lot easier to plant constructive seeds rather than to plant destructive ones. You may be thinking that constant vigilance over your thinking is a whole lot of work, takes a whole lot of energy. And yeah, I won't lie to you, it does. It really does, to keep ourselves in alignment, to keep ourselves in that right thinking mode, thinking that thing of peace, of joy, of abundance, of wholeness when it doesn't look that way. It does take discipline. But the rewards are enormous. They're enormous. And it actually is much less work, less energy to plant these constructive seeds than the destructive ones. And I love these words by Dr. Ernest Holmes. It takes, he talks about this, it takes less energy to live constructively than it does to live destructively. It takes no energy to have faith, while fear devastates our energy. It takes no energy to love. It is hate that is destructive. It does not take mental or physical energy to be happy. But unhappiness and morbidity consume so much energy that it devitalizes us mentally and physically. It does not, he's still writing, it does not take mental or physical energy to build up hope. It is despair that blocks us. We get in our own way. As we all know, the law, the way everything works, is simple. We get in our own way. We block the flow of the good that we want. So that's why it's important to know what seeds we're planting. And an example of that, of how this whole world works, when you try to go against your nature, to try to be something you're not, to live unauthentically, it takes much more energy to live unauthentically than it does to live authentically. And an example is holding the beach ball. Try to hold the beach ball down under water. The law of the beach ball itself will bring it back to the surface, and it never fails to the surface. It's the nature of the beach ball. And that happens every single time, unless you deflate it, but that's the way the law of the beach ball works. We have all these laws. But you understand the idea. It's easier to go with the flow. It's kind of like the whole Abraham Hicks stuff where trying to go upstream. We do this in our lives. And that causes a lot of resistance, a lot of blockage when we can just go with the flow. That's so much easier and feels so much better and takes less energy. That's the whole point of being really concise and aware of what we're thinking and plant the seed thoughts that we really want to experience in our lives. And it is not your nature. It is your nature. Perhaps your habit, not perhaps your habit. Okay, so it is your nature, not perhaps your habit, but your nature to have thoughts of peace. This is your natural way of being, to have thoughts of peace and love and harmony and plenty. That's our natural way of being. Again, perhaps it is not your habit, because we've developed habits. It started with a thought that became a belief, became a habit. And if it's a habit that doesn't serve you, you might want to take a look at that, because we can change habits. We can all change habits. Your nature, your innate beingness is life. It is life. And life is affirming. Life is affirming. God is for us, always for us. It's the divine giver of all that is. It gives us whatever we desire. It's affirming. Remember that. That's our natural. That's our natural way of being. That's our natural way of being. And you just have to look at children to see that. They expect and they get usually. They're happy, they're joyful. Everything is in the flow, especially very young children before they're, as Don Miguel would say, domesticated. They just expect it, and they're always in movement, in motion, in curiosity, exploring. And life is good. If you have a young child, you watch it, they're great teachers for us. To see if this is our natural way of being. Oh, I forgot. I've developed these other habits. So it's time maybe to learn from those very young children how to be our natural self. And so here are some final thoughts for your planting your garden, because we're going to be planting gardens all summer, not all summer, in July we're planting gardens. And this is the harvest that hopefully you will yield in the fall. So first, let's plant 3 rows of peas. Peas are good. Peas of mind, peas of heart, and peas of the soul. Next, we're going to plant 3 rows or 4 rows of squash. Squash gossip, squash indifference, squash complaining. Whoa, that's a big one. Squash negativity. And the 3rd row is lettuce. Let's plant a row of lettuce. Let us be faith-filled. Let us be kind. Let us be patient. Let us really love one another. And there can be no real garden without turnips. Turnip for service. Turnip to help each other. Turnip for life. And to conclude our garden, we must have time. Great herb. Time for play, time for rest, time for spiritual growth, and time for God. Time for God. A lot of us forget that one. So when you water your garden freely, with patience, and cultivate it with ample love, the harvest will be so great and overflowing that it will naturally affect everyone else. You will have to be giving it away because it's so much of it within you. And remember, we cannot give away what we don't have. So as we cultivate these seed thoughts within us and we deepen into our peace, into our love, into our well-being, it will fill us so incredibly that it's natural to give it away. It's that whole law of circulation, divine givingness. So we give what we have in our heart. So look what you have in your heart. So right now is the time to sow those seed thoughts of what you desire to experience. Right here, right now. Just sow the seed thoughts of what you really want to experience in your life. And be specific, but don't do the outlining. Let the law take care of the rest, because it will give us an incredible manifested life. We will be living the things that we plant. We'll water them always with the trust, with faith. And as you patiently await the harvest, you will then get so much good. Because God is good, life is good, and it's here for us to accept, plant the right seeds. So.